Hello, Babel. Welcome in. How are you today? Good, just came out of the shower. Nothing better than a nice shower. Nice shower, there's only one thing better. I'm so sorry, my voice is totally bothering me today. Excuse me. This is what happens after I've been giving lectures and training sessions all week at work, because that's what I've been doing. The only thing better than a good shower is a good shower where you immediately get to go to bed with clean sheets too. Like those two things together, best best moments in life. Hello, Evan, welcome in. I'm sorry, I'm gonna try to mute myself if I have to cough or anything. Hopefully, hopefully it's not too much, but yeah, my voice is shot. I've been talking all week. Let's see. Okay, good, he does show up. You can tell by looking at it that I skipped ahead instead of continuing to do lines. I started rendering his face and his hair, but I'm not super happy with the rendering, so I'll probably erase it and go back and redo it. Excuse me, one moment. Ante, welcome in. Did I send out all the stream pings? Thank you so much for reminding me. Let me think. I did the Discord. I did Blue Sky. I did Tumblr. I did one of my Instagrams. Sometimes I post the, I always try to post the stream to my art Instagram, my art account. Sometimes I post it to my doll hobby Instagram. I don't think I'll post it there today. I put it in the story. That should be fine. That's enough, right? Are you sick? I don't know. I might, sorry, I might be, but it's kind of in that I can't tell if my voice is just shot because I've been talking so much at work, or if I'm actually sick. I'm not sure. I don't feel sick. Like when for example, like I don't feel like I have a head cold or anything, right? Like my nose isn't particularly stuffy. I don't have that headache that you normally get when you have a cold. I don't feel sick to my stomach or anything like that. My throat doesn't hurt. Like I don't have that sandpaper feeling in my throat. But wow, yeah, my voice is just totally shot from again, I've been talking so much at work. I don't normally have to do a lot of presentations or lecture. Sorry, I don't normally have to do a lot of talking at work. You know, there's the normal stuff like participating in meetings and so on, but I've been for the past week doing a lot of, you know, giving training sessions and lectures and mentoring colleagues and so on and so forth because I am the SME or the subject matter expert, if you're not familiar with that phrase, in a few particular areas at work. So when people need to be coached, it usually falls on me because the super fun part is my boss actually doesn't know what we do. My boss is actually from a different department, so I'm the highest level that you can go to for expertise on this particular business area that we operate. So, all that to say, sorry, my voice is gonna be a little shot today. How is moving going? It's going well. It's going as well as it can be. I have packed up pretty much everything that I can pack up for the time being, so everything that's out right now is stuff that would need to be like disassembled. You know, it's my desk, it's my bed frame, it's my dresser, and so on. So pretty much everything is packed up. I will today for those of us in the US, it is a 3-day weekend, so we have a holiday on Monday. So I'll have Monday off, and then I took a couple days surrounding the weekend, just to kind of prep with moving. I can't move in until the 1st, which is kind of unfortunate. I had hoped that they might let me in a day early if I asked, but they said no. Not the end of the world. Luckily this time I'm gonna have some help moving, so I'll actually have like my dad has said he's gonna be available and he can bring over his truck, and my sister and her husband are gonna come over and help as well. So it's a lot easier to move when you have people to help. Last time I moved, I did it myself. It was just me. So that takes a load off, knowing that I don't have to carry everything alone, which is, you know, super nice because it's heavy. But yeah, it's going as well as it can be. I'm still dealing with the shenanigans of, you know, the internet provider isn't responding in a timely manner, so I'm kind of having to harass them to get them to, you know, get their butts into into gear. My landlord is not being particularly helpful because technically I am breaking my lease. I'm breaking it 1 month early, which for reasons that I won't get into, I have decided to break my lease. But my landlord is aware of the reasons that I am breaking my lease, and you know he's already expressed that he's amiable to, you know, letting the fee for breaking the lease, for example, he's willing to let that slide given the circumstances of my leaving. But he won't actually agree to speak with me. He just kind of says, "Oh yeah, sure, you know, I'll be by the house this weekend and we can talk about it," and then he doesn't show up. So there's a couple of headaches, but you know, moving is rarely rarely an easy process. There's always going to be something happening, but that's fine. It's going best it can. Take care of your mental and physical health. It's great. You'll rest of it. Thank you. I'm really hoping that once I'm kind of into the new place and I'm settled and I can kind of establish my own routine again, I'm really hoping that first of all I start feeling better in general, because I haven't felt good for a very long time while living here. Again, without getting into like really personal boring details that no one needs to know. But I'm hoping that it'll help me feel better, and in turn, hopefully, will mean that I can actually start doing more creative things again, because I've been really, really struggling with creative stuff because I have no energy after surviving. So I don't know. We'll see. Fingers crossed, because I have things that I want to do. I have videos I want to put up for YouTube that I have to get a new microphone. That's the other thing. Oh my goodness, there's so much to do. But fingers crossed. Kind of once I'm settled in and I have a better routine, that I'll have more energy to do those things. So, because I have videos that I want to do and animatics I want to work on, and obviously I'm still writing a bunch and I want to continue to do that. So, anyways, let's see. You can tell that I started coloring things not very precisely, but kind of just generally started. But I need to make some changes here. Because I think what I'm going to do I should be able to just hide all of that. Okay, there we go. I really should have named these layers. Oh my goodness. Really did break these. Okay, there we go. So this is what I want to change. I think I'll do that. I think that works. When I did finally get a new case for my phone, so now it is really and truly a brick. So it has a case and it has a screen protector, so now, which this was really bothering me, I understand that it's just how phones are now these days, but the camera lenses really stick off the back of the phone, and it meant that I couldn't put it down like on my desk without it resting on the lenses, and I was really worried about it scratching them, and it meant the phone wouldn't rest flat, so it would rattle, kind of like a table with, one of the legs are too long. So now it has a case, so it doesn't do any of that, so that's nice. But now it is also a brick. I don't know, I'm old. I remember having like a flip phone that was actually small enough to really and truly fit in my pocket. I miss that. That's the kind of phone I actually want. I don't like these bricks that I have to carry around. A brick of technology, it's true. I actually have a lot of probably e-waste. I think that the stuff that I have is too old, and like consignment shops or, like a donation, like a thrift store or anything, isn't going to take a lot of this stuff, which is unfortunate. But I've got like an old laptop I need to get rid of. My previous phone isn't serviceable, so even if I unlocked it, it wouldn't help anybody. Oh gosh, what size brush was I using? Oh, that's part of it. I was not using this brush either. I was using a different brush. don't like how that one does that on the end. Okay, let's try this one. Why is the density like that? Technology. Oh my goodness. I don't think I've done any drawing since the last stream, so I feel really out of practice even though it hasn't actually been that long. I'll also see, actually I should ask her. I wonder if she's awake right now. I don't know what time it is for her. I will ask my friend who's working on painting the cover art that I sent over for the standalone novel. I'll ask if she wants to send me a work in progress update. And I can show you guys here if she responds. Let me see. I don't know what time it is for her. She might not be awake. We'd love to see. I asked her. I think it shows her as online, but she might be out and about or running errands. So we'll see if she responds. I'm not sure if she's had a chance to work on it, but fingers crossed. Hopefully she can just send a quick screenshot and I can show you guys. Been wondering what kind of computer do you use for streaming? It seems powerful. So I actually have a custom built computer, and one of the main things that So I do use a PC. I don't use a Mac. And that's mostly because I like playing a small handful of games, and it's easier to have a PC to do that. But when it comes to artwork and streaming, I have a computer that has high memory so that it can handle multitasking and doing all those different things. And I also have an SSD. So, well, I have a hard drive too, but I have primarily an SSD, which is faster. So custom, I guess would be the answer. It's not anything super fancy. It's just that I built it specifically to the specs that I wanted, which mostly had to do with the high memory and the SSD. If you have a computer that does not have an SSD, I would recommend looking into that. And also seeing if you can add like an extra stick of RAM. That's usually something, if you notice your computer is running slow when you try to do multiple things, you want RAM, because that's going to help with multitasking. I have high RAM because RAM is memory. So I have high RAM because I primarily use this computer, even though it doesn't seem like it, I primarily use this computer for artwork and video editing, and those things are very RAM intensive. So I built this machine in order to do those things, with relative ease. So it can render videos, it can stream, and so on and so forth. Again, not super fancy. It would probably be more expensive to get this computer now because of the price of things, but it wasn't a wildly expensive machine, even though I did have it custom built. And if you want to build your own, and if you want like a second opinion, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to kind of give my opinion. I personally used iBuyPower to build my computer, and my experience was fine. There we go. That's what I want. But yeah, it just depends on what you want to ask your computer to do. My computer is also fairly old at this point, so it's holding up well for its age, and it's been through at least one cooling unit because the previous cooling unit that I purchased ended up dying, and I had to get it replaced, which luckily was under warranty. But yeah. I haven't decided if I'm gonna do a solid sash or My friend responded, so let's see if she can get a screenshot. I just bought myself a laptop for my birthday to work on, so I'm pretty familiar with those things. That's awesome. Yeah, I am not using a laptop. I am using a desktop or a tower. But oh man, my my poor little previous laptop, that poor thing barely turns on to like play music in the background when I'm like doing the dishes or something. Okay, here we go. She got me a screenshot. Okay, let me pull this up. Oh, it looks so good. I'm so excited. Okay. I don't play any games and don't stream, so it wasn't hard to choose. Yeah, if you're not doing gaming or streaming or like really, I say intensive, but you know, video editing, you really don't need to ask that much from your computer. I'd say like if anything, I might bump up like the minimum RAM that you're going for if you're someone who has a lot of browser tabs open, which I do personally. So even if I was getting like a laptop to do nothing but browse on, I would probably still go for the increased RAM because I ask my computers to multitask quite a lot. I really beat my beat my computers into the ground and ask a lot of them. All right, here we go. Ah, it looks so good. I'm so excited. But yes, there's the current update that she just sent me. Same. I love tabs. I always have so many tabs open. Sometimes I even get a little hog wild with it, and I have entirely separate browser windows, each with like 20, 30 tabs in them. It's terrible. Oh, stunning. I'm so glad you guys like it. I'm so excited to see as she continues to work on it. I'm very excited. It looks amazing. I know, I'm so excited. And she even said, she's like, yeah, there isn't a lot of detail yet because I'm just getting the basics down. I'm like, what do you mean? It already looks so good. I'm so excited. Especially considering that I gave her, in my opinion, not very great references because I didn't put references together beforehand because I'm stupid. I just didn't think of it. And then because I was so preoccupied with just getting the file itself done because I broke it down into like the line art and the thorns and so on. And then I give it to her and she's like, okay, what are the references? I'm like, oh no. So I just slapped something together really, really quickly when, if you know me and if you have happened to see any of my mood boards for characters before, you know that, I tend to be really, there's a word that I'm looking for, particular, I guess. I usually try to create something that's a very specific vibe so that they have that to work off of, any artist. And I do that for both digital art, like drawn art, but also for dolls. So I've created mood boards for dolls. But yes, I'm so excited. It looks so good already. Artists are so humble. It's always the best artists that are so humble. It's crazy. And she has said that she isn't gonna charge me for this. And little does she know, and she's not in the stream, so I don't. So it's fine if I say this. Little does she know, I'm gonna slide her money, whether she likes it or not. Also, sorry if you just heard the ice cubes in my cup as I took a drink. I forgot to mute myself. But yes, I'm very excited. I'm also excited slash nervous to to send the manuscript to beta readers, which is something that I thought I was going to be doing weeks ago, but then I keep rewriting and changing things, and I just need to stop. I just need to send it off. But yeah, I'm definitely nervous for what people say, because this is definitely a novel that's outside my my usual skill set, my usual scope. So for all I know, it doesn't it doesn't work, quote unquote, for lack of a better word. Like, it doesn't follow the structure that people are expecting from this sort of novel. So I don't know. We'll see. Ice Cube ASMR. I'm sorry. I've almost finished this coffee. Almost. Oh, gosh. Okay, so this should be his. Yes, it is. I have not decided where that cuff line is going to be, so I guess I will just follow my heart. Oh God, I felt the clip in my hair just give up. Hold on. I'm still at that horrible in-between stage where my hair isn't quite long enough to all get put back in a clip. Most of it is. Okay, there we go. What kind of work do beta readers do? So beta readers will do a couple of different things, and each person is different, so each person, might do something a little bit different. But for example, I do beta reading semi-regularly. I usually like to take on at least one beta read each weekend. And typically what that is I hate the English language. The fact that I can say is in a sentence and it's technically correct. Anyways, what beta readers will do is they will read through a manuscript that is not finalized, so there are things that could still change. Usually there isn't, what's the word? Usually the final pass of editing for like grammar and sentence structure, etc., hasn't been completed. So it might be a little bit rougher than like a finalized book. There will still be errors and things like that. There might be inconsistencies. There might be things like placeholder names or, whatever it might be. But what the beta reader is looking for is just kind of giving a general first opinion while understanding that the manuscript is not finalized. So they'll be looking for things like, again, their general first impressions, continuity errors that might have been missed, kind of giving feedback on general story structure. So if they feel like something's moving too fast or if it's going too slow, they'll just kind of give you like general feedback on all of those various things. They'll tell you what they liked, what they didn't like. And ideally, what you do in a normal situation is you have multiple beta readers. Probably like between 3 to 5 is like a good amount. And you'll give it to those beta readers. Ideally, they do actually read it and they actually give you feedback. I could tell you many stories about getting Immolation Volume 1 beta read and just what a nightmare it was. But anyways, let's assume that you get 3, let's assume that you get 4 of your beta readers. You send it to 3 to 5 people. 4 of those people actually read it and respond with their feedback. So you have four little reports to look at. And then what you look for is you look for trends across all of the feedback that you got. So these are 4 people with 4 different opinions and 4 different preferences. So there's going to be a certain amount of just their personal opinion. Like, oh, I personally don't like, whatever story trope or whatever, right? So there's going to be that. But then if, let's say you have 3 out of 4 people saying, oh, it felt like it was really slow from, chapters 10 to 12. It felt really slow. Then you know that there's an error there that you should go in and try to correct and try to speed that up and so on and so forth. Again, you're really looking for trends across the feedback rather than trying to, if you try to tweak something to please everybody, it's going to be a mess. But yeah, so you have to, first of all, kind of stick to your guns and know what your goals are as a writer, but then also be willing to take feedback without just trying to change things to please like every reader, because every reader is different. So mostly looking for trends, kind of getting general feedback. If you have all 5 beta readers, or 4, whatever the example I said was, if you have all of them come back and say, this is boring and I hated it, then you have a problem. But what I'm expecting is, because this is a genre that I don't write in, they're going to be like, it didn't really meet my expectations for, a novel in this genre. And that would be good feedback for me to take and work from. But it's hard to say. I just kind of have to actually, I mean, it's been finished, quote unquote finished, for a while, like the ending and everything, it's all there. I keep going in and I keep tweaking certain things because I have certain events that I want to happen in a certain order in order to allow certain things to happen. But if I move them around, then it allows some other things to happen, and I haven't decided which version I like best, and so on and so forth. But I know I just have to pick one and just go for it. But we'll see. I might be really cheeky and just send like 2 different versions to people and tell them which one's different, and they can choose which one they like. I don't know. We'll see. That's asking a lot of beta readers, because usually these are people who do it for free. They just do it. They're usually other writers, because reading other people's work is a really good exercise as a writer, which is part of why I do it. But I don't know. Well, we'll see. Either way, I'm sure I will get chewed out, but that's totally fine. I got chewed out by a lot of people doing reviews, not reviews, well, yes, sort of reviews, but beta reading for Immolation. Like, a lot of people really chewed me out for that one, so I've been through it before. Beta reading was definitely a roller coaster. The clip couldn't contain the Rapunzel braid. Yeah, Immolation was definitely something. If you're not familiar with, I don't know what the proper word would be. If you're not familiar with like the current trends, quote unquote, which I don't think readers, generally speaking, are familiar with, like, again, quote unquote trends. You know, you don't really think about it very much, but as a writer, you're just inundated with data of like, here's what's selling, here's what you need to write if you want people to read your book, blah, 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 blah. Immolation basically broke, well, still breaks because it still exists. Immolation breaks a lot of rules that people are very, very opinionated about. And I got a lot of people really, really chewing me out because of that. So for example, what's the first thing that you look at? What's the first thing you see when you open Immolation? You see prologue. You see a prologue. I got really, really chewed out for having a prologue. I got people who said, as soon as I open this and I see the word prologue, I'm not going to read it, because I don't read books with prologues. Prologues are stupid and you shouldn't have them. So like they wouldn't even give my work a chance because it has a prologue. And they said, if you want me to read it, you have to take the prologue out. Sorry, that's it. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to do that, so thank you. Thanks for your time. Have a nice day. So that was like one of the first things, like right away. Immolation has a prologue, people aren't going to read it. I've had a lot of people, which this isn't so much about the book itself, but for me, people are like, oh, you're a man? Not going to read it. And I'm like, all right, thanks. Have a nice day. I have to go eat. Enjoy the rest of the stream. Have a wonderful meal. I hope it's yummy. Thank you so much for stopping by. People are so weird. Yeah, it's interesting how people told me, like, if you really want to have it in there, if you really want to have the prologue in there, you should just change the name of it to Chapter 1, and then people will read it. I'm like, but it's not Chapter 1, it's a prologue. I'm the writer. I know what it is, and I know what I want it to be. And then I had people, these are other writers usually telling me this. I had other writers who said, you must not be a very good writer if you have to have a prologue. I'm like, that's kind of rude, but all right. I guess that's your opinion, and you're entitled to that. But yeah, they said, you must be a really, really poor writer if you have to rely on having a prologue, because that's something that only bad writers do. I'm like, wow, all right. You didn't even bother reading it. You just assume that I'm a terrible writer because I happen to have a prologue in my novel. That's fine, I guess. Sure. So there was the prologue itself. People get really, really, I don't know what a good word for it would be. They have very strong opinions on prologues, and they make really harsh judgments based off of the presence of a prologue, and they are not shy about letting you know that. So that was something that I ran into a lot of people seeing that there was a prologue, and they say, well, I'm going to skip it, or I'm not going to read your book at all because it has a prologue. And I'm like, well, I'm really happy with the prologue, and I'm really proud of it, so I would prefer if people did read it. Because my prologue is one of the things that people have really complimented, is the word. a lot of people have complimented the prologue saying they really enjoyed it. I'm like, well, I don't want to remove it. Like, it's not my fault that you won't read a book with a prologue. So that was the first thing, and because it's one of the first things that people see about the book, like they open it up and the word prologue is right there. That's the thing that people commented on the most, especially other writers. So that was one thing, and then obviously because people would say like, "Oh, you're a man. Well, I'm not reading your book." I'm like, "All right, well, I can't do anything about that. You don't really need to say that to me. You could just say that you're not interested, but sure, whatever." And then the next thing is that it's written in third person omniscient, which is a very, very unpopular point of view to be writing in. It's very old fashioned. A lot of people feel that it's quite old fashioned. And I had someone who basically wrote me like this 11-page long report, essay, whatever, about how bad third person omniscient was. And keep in mind, this is after I've written the entire manuscript and have given it to this person for beta reading. And all they could do was tell me that, sorry, you're going to have to rewrite the entire thing from third person limited. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to have to do that, actually. Like, what's wrong with you? They specifically told me, well, they specifically told me many things, but they specifically told me to, quote unquote, go pick up a George R.R. Martin novel and learn how to write. Like, okay. Thanks for your time, I guess. Have a nice day. So yeah, that was the other thing, is that people really don't like third person omniscient. You'll get people who they read third person omniscient and they assume that you are trying to write third person limited and have somehow made a mistake. So then they judge you as if you have made a mistake writing third person limited, when actually that's not what's happened. It's actually the fact that you're writing third person omniscient, which is a different point of view with different rules. So it's very difficult to kind of constantly brush up against that. You'll have people who say, oh, you're stupid, you can't write, you can't even do this thing, blah, 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 which is, it's always going to happen. And then you have people who say, oh, I won't even read something as third person omniscient because it's an obsolete style of writing and we shouldn't be doing it anymore, and it's objectively inferior to third person limited, and so on and so forth. And I'm just like, I don't have time. I don't have time to deal with this. You either read the book as I wrote it or you move along. It just... So I'm sure that getting Volume 2 beta read for Immolation is going to be very difficult, because it's not gonna have a prologue. I don't think there needs to be one. Based off of the current manuscript that I have, there is not a prologue. But the point of view is not going to change. The point of view is going to stay third person omniscient, because that's the style that I enjoy writing in. I can write in other POVs, I just choose not to. So, I don't know. But we'll see what happens. People have very strong opinions. They're very opinionated about it. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the standalone novel when I have that beta read, because it is also, surprise, surprise, written in third person omniscient. And a lot of romance readers, which I guess I would classify this. Actually, I guess I would have to classify it as at least romance adjacent, because that is pretty much the point of the novel. A lot of romance readers only will read first person. So third person omniscient is going to be a really hard sell. So I don't know. We'll see. I remember it absolutely mental. Yeah, that not the craziest bit of feedback I've gotten. I had someone in a writing group that I was in basically write me like this paragraphs and paragraphs long quote unquote feedback about my prologue where they just said that it was like overwritten and stupid and like all this sort of stuff, right? Like they were very rude. In my opinion, they were rude. There's a polite way to give feedback, and that was not it. But they were very rude. And the whole time they were being really rude to me. They were like, "Why are you writing this prologue about a statue?" I'm like, you cannot seriously be calling me like stupid and a bad writer when you somehow missed that the prologue was not talking about a statue. It was talking about an entire building. It's talking about a cathedral, and that's very clear. No one has ever made that mistake. But yeah, it just absolutely wild time. It's a sad day for the parish lads. Uh, I have all sorts of hilarious beta reading horror stories that I that I could tell when it comes to Immolation. And I'm sure I will have many more going forward as I continue to write. But yeah, wow, it's quite the adventure, quite a trip. I actually loved the prologue. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. I generally get good comments about the prologue. People do say that they've liked it, which makes me happy, obviously. I'm really happy with it personally. I'm quite happy with the prologue. I mean, I wish people didn't didn't skip my book because it has a prologue in it, but it is what it is. The prologue is actually one of the very few parts of my book that my mom read, ironically, because I know that I was asked about that, I think last stream. Asked if my parents read the novel, and they don't, because like I mentioned, neither of my parents are fantasy readers in general, so they would have no reason to read it. But my mom did go ahead and read the prologue, and she said that she really liked it, which is nice. Very kind of her to say. I love romance, but I don't really care in what person narration it's written if it's good. Yeah, I mean, that's the way I am. I mean, I don't really care. I don't tend to notice what point of view something is written in. And look, I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be mean or disrespect anybody, but when someone's like, "Oh, I can't read something that's written in anything other than first person," I'm like, tell me you're illiterate without telling me you're illiterate. Um, like I don't want to be mean, but I'm like the literacy, it's absolutely plummeting, and I'm just I have opinions. Are there any romance readers in your family? No, actually not. I would say that there really aren't very many readers in my family in general. I mean, my mom reads, but she doesn't read fiction. She reads nonfiction and like what's like scholarly work. Like she is mostly interested in theology. So she reads like a whole lot of like Christian theology nonfiction, right? Like that's what she reads. But no one in my family reads for entertainment or as a hobby. Well, I guess my mom's would be considered a hobby, but you know, it's a different beast. She's not reading for entertainment. She's reading for education in her case. So yeah, no one in my family really reads. I'm the only one. My family will still make comments and actually ask me for help. Like if I am writing, I don't know, like an email or whatever it might be, or excuse me, if my family members are like writing an email or something like a bulletin or whatever, they usually will ask me to take a look at it and or to help them rewrite it because they have said as much. They're like, oh yeah, no, you're a really strong writer. We would like, for you to take a look at this. So they know that I read and I write, but none of them really do it as a hobby. And I like even in my extended family, I don't think anybody really reads. Like I'm trying to think like, does my cousin somewhere, like my uncle's nephew's brother twice removed, like anybody, does anybody in my family read that I know of? And no, really, I'm the only one. I read quite a lot. Again, I'm mostly reading recently. When I say recently, I mean like the last couple of years. I'm mostly reading unpublished manuscripts as a beta reader. That's really what I'm reading a lot of lately. So I have a collection of books, and I, you know, read published work semi-often, but most of my reading most recently has all been unpublished manuscripts by other writers. Um, but yeah, no one really in my family reads. It's not their hobby. I am the weird one. I am the weird one in my family. I like video games, and I like reading, and I like writing, and I am the only one. No one else in my family, like even my sister's husband, he doesn't play video games or anything. I think he's got like a couple of like manga on his shelf, like a very small handful, but like it's not his primary hobby. It's not like what he's really interested in. And I feel like my sister likes romance, but she doesn't like novels. She doesn't read novels. She prefers to watch like romance films. Like that's how she would partake of the genre is to watch a film. Generally speaking, I think both my mom and my sister are more film people. Maybe they have what's it called? Aphantasia? Is that what it's called? Where they can't picture things in their mind? So maybe reading is really boring for them because they struggle to picture it, and so a film is a better medium for them. I don't know. It sounds like you are an introvert. I am an introvert, very much so. My sister, my sister and my mom are extroverts, very, very much so extroverts, and my dad and I are more introverted. So my dad and I really like our alone time and doing hobbies that are, just quiet and kind of away from the world. So like my dad works on his cars, like that's his hobby, and my hobby is writing and drawing and reading. Which is which is actually it's so funny and it's so cute. My dad has, and I've sent a couple pictures in the Discord of my dad with his current project, which is a '68 Dodge Charger. And my mom obviously doesn't know anything, doesn't know anything about cars. She likes them. Come on, why aren't you doing it? I'm telling you to. Oh my goodness, come on, Sai. There we go. I don't know why it's. Now it's working. Oh, goodness. Well, whatever. Anyways, as I was saying, my dad's hobby is working on his cars. My mom, well, she likes cars, and like she definitely has like a nostalgia for like the '68 Charger, for example. While she likes all of that, she doesn't, really know anything about working on cars. That's my dad's hobby. But it's so cute because what my dad did is he actually went out and he found like at like secondhand stores and like consignment stores. He went out and he successfully found like this really nice like leather, really super soft like leather recliner, like part of like a little couch, and he put it in his truck and he took it all the way back to his garage and he set up this little chair and a table so that as he is working on his hobby, which again, my dad and I are very similar in that we like to just have our quiet hobbies kind of away from the world. We don't like big groups of people. I mean, we can enjoy big groups of people, it's just not our first choice. Sometimes we just want a quiet time to work on whatever our hobbies are. And what he did is he set up that chair and that table so that my mom can just kind of come out and like sit there and just sit with him as he as he works on his hobby, which is so cute. They're so adorable. And it's just one of those nice little things where it's like they don't need to say anything. They don't have to constantly have conversations. Sometimes they just want to be around each other while they do the work on their hobbies. It's very cute. I can't tell if I've erased that entirely. I think my density was too low. It still baffles me people exist who cannot picture things in their mind. It's very strange. I mean, I don't mean strange in like a negative way, but it's strange in that it's very different from my experience. So it's really hard to picture for me. My dad has a few shelves. He used to read a lot of fiction. Lord of the Rings is one of his favorites. Love Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. Um, I have Malazan, Book of the Fallen. I have a couple of pieces by Terry Pratchett. I have um, a ton of work by Brian Jakes, both the Redwall series, which is the series, like the very first series that I read as a child, and some of his. He has this other series that's not related to Redwall, but it's Castaways of the Flying Dutchman. I have that series as well, or at least I have some of them. I think I've got 3 of them. There might be more, but yeah, I've got quite a handful, quite a handful of books, and they're all packed away at the moment, unfortunately. Rotates picture in my head. I know you can see inside my head, and it's just like that rotating fish meme. Also, why did my music stop? There we go. But yeah, I would say that for me, I can picture things in my mind, but I definitely find it easier when I have something visual to act as like another reference point. But I'm assuming that aphantasia would mean you can't picture things at all. Like I will be able to picture something, but I'll be dissatisfied with how I'm picturing it, so I'll want to go look up references, right? Like, and maybe that's just the artist part of me coming out as someone who likes to draw, because I can picture in my mind, like for example, I can picture Our Beloved Lady, the cathedral, but I still want to go look up like resources for like Gothic architecture and stuff because I don't have that expertise coming straight to my mind. So I don't know. Maybe it's kind of like that for folks with aphantasia. Okay, so I need to blend these now. Oh, it seems like your parents are still in love. They are very much in love, and they are. I realize that I'm very fortunate to have parents who have not been divorced and who, in their older years, are still very much in love with one another. They're actually away on a weekend trip. They were going to go to Yosemite this weekend, but it turned out to be really rainy. And if you're going to be out camping in a tent, you want to do it when the weather's nice, so it's a pleasant experience. So they canceled that trip. They're not going to Yosemite, but they went somewhere else. I forget where they went. They went to one of these towns somewhere that is it's good for a weekend trip, and there are a bunch of like natural hot springs. So that's one of the things that they like to do. So they're off doing that this weekend, which is lovely for them. My sister, I believe, is somewhere. I remember she was also traveling this weekend because usually when my family travels, I am the one who will, babysit the dogs. They'll slide me like $100 and I'll watch the dogs for the weekend or whatever. I'm like, yeah, sure, fine. I can write over the weekend and I have some pups and I get some money. So I'm not complaining. I didn't end up doing that this weekend because I'm packing, but that's the only reason that I really knew that my sister was, I think she's on like a work trip. I don't know what she's doing. I think she's like on a work training trip. I don't know. Anyways, everyone's away for the weekend except for me, my sister's husband. So I hope they're all having lovely times, whatever it is that they're doing. Or like the Owls of Ga'Hoole book series when I was younger. Yeah, I remember that one as well. There were a bunch of series like that where it was like animals. Like I got into Redwall as a kid, but there was also another one that was really popular when I was a kid. I believe it was Warriors, and they were all cats. There's another one that I can't remember. But anyways, like you want to make sure it's correct. References are life-saving for real, though. Exactly. It's because again, when I picture it in my own head, for me, it's like, okay, yeah, whatever. I know that I can picture it even if I'm not getting the details correct. But then the part of me that is an artist is like, well, if I'm gonna draw it, it needs to be it needs to be correct. So I need a reference. So I'll just naturally want to go find references, even though I might have zero intention to actually draw it. I'm like, just in case. Just in case. I want my references. I am really good, I say, quote unquote, I think that I'm relatively good at plotting out like layouts in my head. So if you were to ask me like how to navigate the cathedral from Immolation, I'd be able to tell you because I can picture like all the pathways and all the hallways, all the stairs. I know where everything is, which is very difficult to write, but I can picture it in my head. Recently, my friend asked me whether I'm able to picture things as cartoons or real-world images. That's so interesting. I never really thought about that. I think I would have to make like a conscious effort to picture something in my mind as a cartoon. That is not like my brain's default way of thinking about things. I wonder if that is like for other people. I wonder if that's their default for their brain. Like maybe if they grew up watching a lot of animated shows or they got into animation like as a young person and want to be an animator or, anything like that. That'd be really interesting to know because I had never thought about that. Because I don't think my brain pictures, and maybe this is because I'm an artist, but I don't think my brain pictures things as like photographs or like real images either. I think it pictures things the way that I draw them, which is super interesting. That's really weird. I never thought about that at all. Couple goals. Yeah, I know. My parents are so cute. But yeah, my mom and my sister, very much extroverts. My sister and my mom both really like hosting people, so like hosting parties, hosting holidays for the family. They both really, really like doing that. And my dad and I are usually like hiding over on the couch, just like talking about our hobbies. But both my dad and I are very social too. But you know, we're not entertainers in quite the same way, or hosts or hostesses, the hostesses with the mostesses. I don't know. You know, we don't thrive off of putting together events in that way. We like to socialize with people. You know, we like to. Both my dad and I are jokesters, so we like to joke around and make people laugh. But you know, we're not. We wouldn't necessarily be the first to volunteer for like hosting Christmas. Like that's not something we'd love to do. Versus my sister and my mom like fight over who's gonna have it at whose house each year. Sorry if you heard my squeaky chair. I'm turning my fan on. Now I want a floor plan. Oh God. Listen, Babel, you can either have a floor plan or you can have a map in the front of the book. You cannot have both. Squeak. Squeak chair. This chair is being replaced when I move. This thing, it's gotta go. If you have recommendations for office chairs, and I don't like gaming chairs, so none of those, but like a mesh office chair, let me know. Desperately need one. I think I'm able to do both. I always your pictures. Let me try again. I always picture your characters just the way you draw them. Maybe my brain is lazy. I mean, I think our brains are designed to be as efficient as possible. So that wouldn't surprise me. What's funny for me is that as I have started collecting more dolls, my images of my characters in my head are a combination of the way that I draw them and their dolls that I have of them, which is really fun. I'm really particular about the dolls that I pick for my characters, so I don't. If you're not familiar with the hobby, these dolls, they're resin dolls, are very expensive, so I don't get them unless I really, really love how they look for the character. So if I have them, it's because I really, really like them. Don't make me pick. I have dreams of eventually getting that map made. One day. One day when I win the lottery and I have thousands of dollars to throw at someone to make that map for me. That's so cool. Wonder how it looks in someone's head. I have to imagine something first in detail and then I'm able to actually draw it. That's interesting because for me, one of the things that I have found when I have an idea for something that I'm going to draw, I picture the very vague kind of like composition first. So it's all pretty vague at first. I just kind of have the general shape or the general pose, and then as I get into the details, I start looking for references. That's really interesting. We kind of our brains approach it from like the two different ends of the spectrum. That's really fun. At times, extroverts scare me. They fight over hosting a party. Yeah, they're like, well, you had Thanksgiving last year, so I'll have Thanksgiving this year. And sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes my mom will say, I really don't want to do Christmas this year, so we're having it at your house. And my sister's like, sure. It all just depends. They really enjoy doing that. And again, my sister and my mom are both excellent hostesses. So they really enjoy it. And my sister especially, she really likes giving little gifts, so. Versus, I think it's, what's it called? It's the, like, the 5 love languages or something, which I'm pretty sure has been debunked, but, but my sister very much likes to give gifts to people. That's one of the ways that she really shows her affection. Meanwhile, my dad and I are very much like quality time. That's what we really enjoy, and that's how we show our affection. So giving people like access to our time is one of the main ways that we show affection. Which does not include throwing a big party with a ton of people, because we were like, eh. It's funny though, actually, one of my mom's friends, because she and my dad have like a group of like other retired folks, kind of about their age, that they're all friends with. They kind of have like a big friend group. My parents have a boat, kind of like a, I don't want to say it's a yacht because it's not, but it's like a little boat. It's bigger than like a speedboat. It's a boat. It's a boat that you can sleep on, so it's reasonably large. I forget how many feet it is, but they have a big boat, and they keep it down at the yacht club. And so they have a bunch of other folks their age, a bunch of other couples their age, and they will sometimes have those people over for like pizza night or whatever. And it's funny because one of them is another guy, and it's so funny because he's pretty much my dad's age, because again, these are all people who are kind of like in the same season of life as my parents. Like, they're empty nesters, their kids have moved out, they're usually retired, and so on and so forth. And one of the guys who is a friend of my parents, I was at one of these pizza parties because I was helping my mom host it, and this guy sat down. He's like, your mother told me that you're writing a book, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I know, I published it already. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I've been working on a book for 5 years that's it's still not done. I'm like, oh no, you poor soul. So it's so funny to kind of bump into other people who have also been working on writing their books. He wants to self-publish, so I told him if he ever needs help with self-publishing to let me know. How are you even able to restrain yourself from buying all the pretty dolls? They're so cute. It is genuinely difficult, genuinely difficult for me, especially because in the hobby, almost everything is limited edition. So if you don't buy it, it's gone forever. Because a lot of these things, once people buy them, they don't sell them. So it's very hard to find them secondhand. I'm very fortunate, and I've actually managed to find a lot of the dolls that I really, really wanted secondhand, even though they were limited edition. But like, for example, Cyril's doll, actually both of his, because I have two Cyrils. I have one pirate and I have one priest. He's discontinued. You can't get him anymore. So I kind of like hold him to my chest. My little man, you can't get him anymore. I'm very stressed before, while, and after parties. I can do parties. So a friend of mine, his family, they are big party people. Like, my parents will throw a little get together, for their group of friends, right? Which might be 15 to 20 people, maybe, depending on how many couples show up. My friend, his family, they have like hundreds of people at their parties. And they do them for like solstice and, like all these different events kind of throughout the year. And like, for example, they do one for 4th of July. And I think actually they're going to have one June, like kind of right after I move. So I'm hopefully I'll be able to go to that one. But yeah, they have like hundreds and hundreds of people at these parties. And it's so much fun. But wow, I realize that I am an introvert after about 5 hours at this party socializing. I'm like, cool, I'm ready to go to bed now. Good night. So they're very fun, but I definitely have a much smaller like social battery for those sort of things versus an extrovert, right? An extrovert is energized by that. Like, they love the energy and they could just go all night socializing and having fun with people. And I'm sitting here like, it's fun for a bit, and then I'm and then I'm ready to go to bed. I am a grandpa. It's 9:30. Good night. I believe in the five love languages, mine are words of affirmation and quality time. We love to see it. We love to see it. I think that I'm not sure what my mom's language would be, but I know my dad is very much like me. He's very much like quality time. That's his thing. And my sister is gift giving. My mom, I don't know. I could see her being, a little bit of quality time, but I also think hers would be acts of service, which I believe is one of the love languages. So my dad will kind of constantly be doing just little things for her. Like he every now and then he'll, bring flowers home for her after work, or doing like little things like doing the dishes like randomly, before, after she cooks something and she's planning to clean the dishes later, he'll just do them for her. Just little things like that, checking the mail, so on and so forth. I think that would probably be what my mom's is, if I had to guess. I love my friends, but not to that extent. It is quite fun. I really enjoy it, but at the same time, and that friend of mine, he's very, very extroverted. So sometimes it can be hard to disentangle myself from him once like my battery is hit zero. But he will be like, okay, so we have a party this night, and then tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. we're gonna go do yoga. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm gonna be here for a couple of hours. I'm gonna go home and sleep in until 10 a.m. That's how I'm spending my weekend. I'm not waking up at 5 a.m. to do yoga with 20 other with 20 other people. That's not the kind of person that I am. But it is very fun to, again, like especially those big parties with like hundreds and hundreds of people. And it's loud. If it's the 4th of July, there's fireworks. Everybody brings something, and it's very diverse. Like lots of people from different nationalities, different ethnicities. So they're all bringing foods like from their culture. Like I always take something Greek. It's really a wonderful time. But oh man, it is so exhausting, and I definitely can only handle like maybe 2 or 3 of those parties per year because I have a limit. But they are very fun. I do really enjoy them. Exhausting, but very much worth it. I don't think I'm. I think actually I need to change this one. Whoops. Is it true that a lot of Americans are extroverts? Y'all seem so open to people and new adventures. I think that the American culture expects you to be extroverted. I think that's very much an element of it. I typically will have people what's a nice what's a nice way to say this? People will assume that there is something wrong with me because I am introverted. And that's something that you definitely have to kind of contend with. Kind of, at least America is huge, right? So let me just say this, like here, where I am, West Coast, California, which I think is probably one of the more lively, for lack of a better word, states. It's people expect you to be kind of a little bit of a partier. They expect you to be social and outgoing and, you know, outdoorsy and so on and so forth. There's a lot of that in the culture, particularly here on the West Coast. Versus if you go somewhere more central, it's going to be more of a slower pace of life. You're not really necessarily going to be expected to have that kind of personality. But here, yeah, I genuinely get people who are like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, nothing's wrong with me. I'm just an introvert and you're intruding on my quiet time. Please go away. So there is an element that I've definitely had to contend with growing up as someone who's introverted, because people will be like, well, why don't you want to go do, you know, X, Y thing? And I'm like, because I'm an introvert. It's not that complicated. But again, I can only really speak from my experience like on the West Coast, kind of growing up. But I think in general, Americans have, there's a certain level of like hospitality that the American culture kind of has like built into it. So that's why you'll find, for example, like really large portions of food. Like the idea is that nobody goes home hungry and everybody goes home with enough food to have as leftovers for the next day. Like that's a big part of like American hospitality is stuff like that. So you know, it's the opposite of what's that one European country where they're like, if you go over to like a friend's house, they're not going to feed you. I'm like, what? That's so alien to us here in the United States, where we're like, no, you're gonna sit down and you're gonna have some food. Have you eaten today? Here's a glass of water, you know, like the whole thing, right? So we very much have this kind of built-in hospitality that I think kind of adds on to that. Americans also tend to be very talkative. So you're probably more likely, and again, this is like West Coast. Like if you go to New York, nobody's talking to you. Totally different. But if you're in like the West Coast, particularly in like my local area, you know, having like little conversations is a very normal part of life. People are fairly outgoing and, you know, fairly, generally speaking, they're fairly polite. So, for example, I went grocery shopping yesterday and I like held the door open for someone and for this older lady, and you know that led to like a whole like, you know, 20-second conversation of like, oh, thank you so much, that's really kind of you, it's a nice day today, blah 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 blah, you know, like that sort of thing. That's very typical. I run into that quite a lot. But it really, there is like that level of like you're expected to socialize that can be draining for an introvert. But it also just depends on your family. Like if I grew up in my friend's family, the one who had like the hundreds of people for parties, I'm like, nah, I would not survive the winter in that family. But my family's, I would say, probably kind of like middle of the road, pretty average, where if you don't act like to a certain level of being like personable and conversational when people see you, etc., they're going to think that like you're super antisocial and something's wrong with you. Which is ironically one of the reasons that I'm leaving this house that I live in, because I have housemates who expect me to socialize with them. And as we have stated, one of my big love languages is quality time. If I am giving you my time, it is because I want to spend time with you. You are worthy of my time, and I consider being with you a pleasure. And that is not the situation that my housemates are in. I'm like, you're here because I need you to like pay the rent. I'm like, you're here as a necessity, not a benefit. And they get really, really upset about that when I don't want to spend time with them, which is why I'm moving. To put it in simpler terms. It's the same in the part of Europe I live in. Can't be neutral because they think something's wrong. Yeah, exactly that. I've been looking for a new place to live for a long time. I say a long time. It's been like probably about 6 months. And I've looked at different apartments and different houses, and you know, I was considering, I'm like, all right, I don't want roommates because that's led to a bunch of problems where I currently live. Like, I don't want roommates. I don't want housemates. But if I have to, because it's the only affordable option, I will consider it. And if it is someone who is compatible with my personality, so probably another introvert. If it's another introvert, then that'll be fine. It's not a big deal. I can tolerate it. And I remember I went to view this little condo where it was this, I think she was a nurse, and she said, I'm going back to school, so my hours are going to be cut at work. So I'm opening up this other bedroom to some other working professional. Sorry, I just slapped my mic. I'm opening up this bedroom to some other working professional, to help cover, the cost of like her mortgage while she goes back to school. I'm like, all right, that's reasonable. So, I sent over, like all my documents and so on. She's like, okay, sure, fine. You come over and take a look. And as soon as like I was in the unit and like she was giving me a tour of like where things are, she made this comment of, I don't want someone who's going to come home and shut themselves in their room, because then I'll wonder what I did to upset them. And immediately I was like, oop, nope, that's not gonna work. I'm like, you cannot take me wanting my personal time and wanting to be left alone as like a negative thing. Like if you assume that you've done something wrong and it's gonna make you be all insecure and weird about it, like nah, that's not gonna work. It does not work for me, homegirl. So I said, you know what, thanks thanks so much for your time. Good luck. Find another roommate. So yeah, it's just a whole thing that I definitely brush up against. So that's why I'm living alone. I'm looking forward to it immensely, so I don't have to worry about someone getting offended just because I don't want to spend time with them. If you want to spend time with me, you need to be pleasant to be around. I forget how his outfit works. Hold on. My parents still don't understand why I sometimes don't want to talk after a hard day. Yeah, yeah, my parents were like that when I was younger. My mom still kind of like gently guilt trips me. Not a lot. She's getting better at it. I've also made more of an effort to like go over and see her more often. Luckily, well, that sounds weird. Both she and my dad had retired, and when they had retired, they're both still quite young. But when they were both retired, she really, really wanted me to call her more often, and she wanted me to visit. And I don't live very far from my parents. My sister lives about 40, no, probably not that far, probably like 30, 35 minutes away. And I live about 15, 20 minutes away from my parents. So both of us are very close by, so we can be there for my parents if they need something, and they can be here for us. But my sister, like, every single day calls my mom. Every single day after work, on the drive home, calls my mom, and they talk. Because that's just the way that my sister and my mom are. First of all, they're both very close. I am more close with my dad, and my mom is more close with my sister. So, but my dad and I don't call to talk about things. Like, I might shoot my dad a text, every couple days, be like, hey, what's up? And he's like, nothing much. And like, that's it. Because that's just the way we are. And my mom, like, casually would guilt trip me. She's like, oh, you never call me. I'm like, it's not like I live in a different country and I never see you. I live 50 minutes up the road. I just don't call you every single day after work the way my sister does, because that's not the kind of person I am. And she's gotten better at it, both because I've made a point to kind of go over there. Like, I helped her host that event like with the pizza night with her group of friends. I go over there just to say hello, so on and so forth. But also, she and my dad did start working again, so they're not retired anymore. They are technically retired, but they both gone back to work. So she doesn't have all that free time to just kind of sit there and hope that like one of her kids is going to entertain her. So that's made it a little bit easier. Why do people make some problem out of someone being chill? It's so weird. I guess someone might be insecure, but it's not my problem. See, that exactly. You're so right. You're so right. Yeah, I have strong opinions. Like I have again housemates that I'm leaving because I don't want to live here anymore. But I have housemates that are like, oh, well, I expect you to come down and have dinner with us. And I'm like, no, no, I don't live with my parents. I'm not required to come down and sit at the dining room table and talk to you about your workday. We're not friends. We're not family. We're roommates. Like, no, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. And then they take it personally, and then they start causing problems, and so on and so forth. I'm just like, your loneliness is not my responsibility because we don't have that kind of a relationship. We're not friends. We're not family. And even if we were, I still wouldn't have dinner with you. So yeah, I don't understand why people take it so personally. I would never take it personally. I don't care. I don't know. It's weird. Anyways, living alone is better. I'm only very willing to talk when I'm mad and I need advice about the situation. Yeah, I'm like that as well. Like I'm very independent. I've always been the more independent of the two of us, between my sister and myself. My sister, not that she isn't independent, because yes, of course she is. She's an adult. She's independent. But my sister has more of a need to kind of get my mom, and sometimes my dad, but usually my mom's opinion on things. Just not necessarily because she needs the input, but because it's reassuring for her to kind of talk about what her plans are and to kind of get a second opinion. And I'll do that on like big life decisions, right? I'll do that as well. But my sister just does it more often, just because that's kind of her personality. Versus me, I really only, phone a friend, as we'd say. I really only phone a friend, when I have a really big decision, or if I know that, maybe I'm upset or angry or whatever it might be, and because of that, I know that I might not make sound decisions in that moment, and I want another opinion before I do anything rash. Used to be a huge people pleaser. Now I see the light. I get it. I was the same way when I was younger. I was very much a people pleaser, and that is a hard change to make, going from being a people pleaser to just, pardon my language, to not giving a damn. I'll walk home, and dinner time is time for my brain to rest and recharge. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's what it's like for me, because I work from home. So I have my workstation, and after work, I shut it all down, I unplug it, I close the laptop, and then I need time to decompress to hopefully, fingers crossed, change from like work brain to creative brain. And that gets very, very difficult when I'm constantly being exhausted during my decompression time by like random insecure housemates having a problem. So that's part of why I really hope that moving to the new place means that I start feeling better and more creativity can happen. Because, oh man, I am so exhausted and annoyed and angry and all of those unfun things. But hopefully, again, once I'm out of here, it'll be better. I phone a friend only when they're involved in a situation. Yeah, sometimes that is just the way to do it. Adding more people to a situation means that it's going to get complicated so much more quickly than it would otherwise be. Oh, and I forgot to tell you guys the best part. You know how I was saying that, oh, my parents were retired, but now they're not. Well, to just kind of like drive home just how much of an outlier I am in my family. Like I keep telling you guys this. I am the weird one. I am the weird one in my family. I am the odd one out. I'm the weird one with hobbies and the only, well, again, my dad is introverted, but I'm more introverted than my dad. The whole thing, right? And my sister would call my mom every single day after work. Well, actually, now they just all work together. So it's literally the three of them all in one office all day, every day, Monday through Friday. And then I just am the only one who doesn't work for that office. So instead of daily phone calls, it's actually just the entire day is spent with my sister, which my mom is very happy about. She really enjoys that. And both my mom and my dad are actually very happy to be working again, so I'm glad for them. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Oh boy, now I have to think. I should really open up a reference, but I'm just going to continue to do this from memory. And I probably have about 20 more minutes for stream, and then I have to get back to work. And I actually have to work on my resume this weekend, which is super unfun. Because that promotion that I was talking about, like several streams ago now, my employer has been really, really dragging their feet on this thing because they're just not sure what they want to do. But they finally announced it, the actual promotion. So, well, originally I was told that I was going to be made an informal lead, which is sort of a promotion, but also not really because they don't pay you more money, blah, 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 blah. There's a whole bunch of drama there that I'm not going to get into. But basically, they said, just kidding, we're changing it, we're not going to do that. And now there's going to be a formal position, and you have to apply for it and be interviewed for it. Like, okay, fine, I can do that. So I have to dress up my resume a little bit more and get it ready to submit. That is due next week. And we'll see what happens. I don't think I'm gonna get it, but that's all right. We just do what we can. That isn't going to work because it needs to. A short stream today. Yeah, today's gonna be relatively short. just because I'm so busy with all the shenanigans I have to do, but we'll see. Where's my eraser? Hold on. Actually, I don't want to do that. Okay. Good luck on the promotion. Hopefully you get it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. The whole promotion thing has been so stupid. I don't have a better word for it. My boss wants wants me to get the promotion because I am already doing a lot of the responsibilities that the promotion entails. So I'm already informally acting in that capacity, and the promotion would mean that I'm actually defined as doing those things, and I'm compensated for doing those things. In theory, there should be a raise with it, but who knows? But they've, and by they I mean higher level management, so the level above my boss, have added in a whole bunch of qualifications and requirements and things that I don't have, which my boss is not happy with because she wants to give the promotion to me, and she said as much, and she feels like now she's being blocked and forced to pick somebody else when she already has basically been advocating for me to take this position for so long. So it's all shenanigans and tomfoolery, but we'll see what happens. I have to apply either way because it shows good initiative, so I'm gonna apply either way. I don't expect to get it because of kind of some of the shenanigans that management has pulled, but we'll see. Maybe my boss advocates really hard for me and they select me. I don't know. Can't really know for sure, but it is what it is. Good luck. It's good to try. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, again, it shows initiative to apply for it either way. It'll just be interesting to see how it plays out. Either way, I don't expect too much to change because there is no one else who can fulfill the role that I'm taking on, and I keep getting given more responsibilities. It would be nice to be paid for those responsibilities, but you know, job security. Having been laid off before, job security is a big thing to me. So I'm like, I don't care if I get the promotion as long as I keep my job and I have some stability in the current world that we live in. That's what matters, because that job is what pays for the books. So it's really important to me that I keep it. So I will do my best. Fingers crossed something good comes of it, but if not, it'll be fine either way. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And hopefully, I don't expect this to happen anytime soon, but hopefully once I move and I have some more time, I can start putting normal videos up on YouTube instead of just the streams. And hopefully, if those continue, then I can monetize the YouTube account a little bit and all of that. Just like Patreon, which it's not a large amount of income, but you know, literally every little bit helps. Any kind of income that I get, you know, even if it's like a couple bucks, you know, all of that goes towards the books. So that'll be helpful if I can make that happen. Because I have a couple of things sitting around in my drafts that I'd like to do for YouTube. I have like a wallpaper that I'd like to do, like a desktop wallpaper. Ideally, my thought was having, and this will be ironic considering considering the earlier conversation. But what I'd like to do is, and I don't know if it would be me reading it or if I would hire a voice actor. I'd probably hire a voice actor. But I would like to do just like a nice desktop wallpaper, like something that I can paint, and just have either, again, probably a voice actor, but either myself or a voice actor read the prologue and have that be a video up on YouTube. Just because I'm happy with the prologue, and I would like to have a little spot on YouTube. So I have that, and then I have a couple of speed paints that I've been working on, and those will be accompanied by, the speed paints will be accompanied by some lore talking, some lore bits, because I think it'd be fun to kind of have like a playlist on the YouTube that's just kind of me talking about like specific pieces of lore from the Immolation universe and kind of talking about different things. Now that the book is out, I feel like I can talk a little bit more about some of the lore. Because before the book was out, I'm like, I can't say anything because it's all going to be spoilers. But now that the book is out, I feel like, okay, I know what I can say and what I want to keep for future books. So now I can actually start talking about lore. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be exciting. So, God willing, being in the new house, because I am moving into basically just my own house, I really hope that it's a good change and it means that some of my creative energy comes back. Because so much of my energy is being spent just dodging shenanigans at this current house. So I'm really excited. But anyways, let me see if I can get some of this this lining done, and we'll see how far I get before I've got about 10 more minutes. That's such exciting news. Thank you. I'm excited. I really want to do more with YouTube. I feel really bad just kind of letting it languish in the state that it's in. So fingers crossed. I don't know, again, if I can afford a voice actor for that prologue video. That'd probably be pretty expensive. It's I have to balance. I have a very high standard of quality that I hold myself to when it comes to creative stuff, so I have to balance that with what's realistic for me to spend. Because, I spent about $2,500 getting Immolation Volume 1 out. That's pretty much what that cost. Probably more. I'm just making an estimate. So, I have to be reasonable with how much I invest in it versus, I don't make any profit from it at all. So I have to be careful with that. It's like an expensive hobby, just like the dolls, right? Like I have to, be reasonable with what I spend, because otherwise it's easy to spend way too much, and that doesn't lead to good things for anyone. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. I am excited. I hope everyone else is excited too, and hopefully it'll be worth the long wait. And I have animatics as well that I'm really excited to work on. I have so many animatics just sitting in my drafts, those poor things. I have an animatic about Bronte and Cyril kind of showing their childhood together, which could be fun, because they knew each other when they were both very young. And then I have one that's kind of like not a trailer. I can't call it that for legal reasons. Not really a trailer, but like kind of a trailer teaser for like the next book that I'd like to work on. It gets really difficult because I can only do so much with certain animatics, because if they veer into advertising for the books, that's a commercial violation, like a commercial rights violation. So I have to be really careful there. But hopefully if I'm like just telling a story about the characters, like a visual story, like something with their childhood, then hopefully that should be fine. So fingers crossed, we'll see. Sorry, we kept you busy talking. No, don't nothing to apologize for. Like I said, the point of these streams is to spend time with you guys, to spend time with chat, and to talk, because I can do art anytime, but I only get to talk with you guys during streams. So, well, that's not true. I have the Discord, but which gosh, I really need to get like an automated. I wonder if YouTube lets you do that. I am used to streaming on Twitch, because that's where I used to stream back when I streamed video games, which I do not really do very much anymore because I don't have time. Let me see here. But I used to have just like a automated little bot that would just every once in a while say, oh, by the way, here's like social medias, and here's the Discord. So let me go ahead and just put that in here. There we go. There's the Discord link, just in case anybody in chat doesn't have it and would like to join. Let's see. He does need this button up on the lapel here. Oh, how many times does it take for Dia to draw a circle? Alright. I could be lazy. I think I'm gonna be lazy. Hold on. I have to find it first. Okay, let's see. There you are. I'm just gonna steal this button. So the one on his lapel is smaller. And then a slightly different angle. There we go. I love cheating. Because the next bits that I'll need to do, and this is gonna be interesting because of the way he's got his arms. So let's see. Because he's got these, I always forget what they're called, I don't remember. But he's got, it's okay, you can see his lapel here, right? So he's got the same lapel over here. This one's just smushed because he's got his arm up in front of it. So like that's his lapel. So he's got a button here and a button over here. You just can't see it because of his bicep. But then between each of these, there's like a little, I always forget what it's called. Aglet. Nope, that's the thing that's on the end of your shoelaces. Aglet. Anyways. So he's got that one. But then he's got more that come, he's got two others that come over here, and these ones go underneath his arm. And actually what they do is they go underneath his arm and they pin to like his shoulder back here. Basically to like the rear side of like the pollet here. But I'm kind of wondering about this one. I'm going to have to check my references to see how low this falls, because I think it falls, like this is based off of memory, I think it falls to about this first button. So it shouldn't like rest on his arm here. But I might be wrong. It might hang a little bit lower than I'm thinking of. I don't know. I'll have to look at his references to see. Look at him. Terrible. Terrible man. You can see the colors that I started blocking in, but I did a very rough job on these. You can see like right here, like that, this whole this whole part I should not be colored in. Just like over here shouldn't be, that shouldn't be, no, that is, but this part isn't. So yeah, I'll have to go through and clean all this up, but that's all right. I just wanted to get like the basic colors down. And now you can kind of see, let's see. Just very, very roughly, you can kind of see where all the little gold bits are going to be. And then I'm going to have to think about what I want to do for the sash, because he's got different versions of the sash that he can wear. And I'm wondering if it's going to feel like too many lines if I do. Because remember, that's going to have like a thingy going across. Because normally what he'd have is trim. And then there's like a line in the middle. I don't know, maybe that would look fine. I worry sometimes that it looks too busy, but maybe, I don't know. There we go. And then he's got this one up here. And I don't think you'd be able to see the seam on the opposite side here, so I'm not going to worry about that one. But you should be able to see, you can't see it on this side because of the sash, but you should be able to see the shoulder seam over here. There we go, loosely. He's a handsome scoundrel. The new laptop of mine is actually a 2-in-1 transformer, and I'm able to draw with a stylus pen on it. Oh, that's so cool. That's so exciting. I can't wait to see some of your artwork. If you feel like sharing it, of course, there's no pressure. But I would love to see some of your artwork if you do want to share. How much time do you need to rest after streams? I don't rest after streams. I usually have something immediately that I'm going to work on. I might like go wash my face or something. But yeah, other than that, no, I have things I immediately need to do. Like as soon as I end stream, I'm going to probably go wash my face, and then I'm going to work on my resume, and then I'm going to go back to packing. Yeah. I just have things I immediately get to. I have to resume, packing, I have to call internet, and that's what it is. I have to call the internet provider to ask if they went out today because I have to keep pressuring them and telling them to do certain things. I have to get my electricity ready. I need to start transferring some of my other bills to the new address. I have to probably run to the park because there's a park not far from me where you can send all of your recyclables. So I have to take all of my recycled cardboard over there today. I probably should go grocery shopping because I forgot a couple things. I just really don't want to go out again. I'm just mad that I forgot them. And cleaning. And I also hope to write today. So I don't know. We'll see. But it is 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. So unfortunately, I do need to get started on working on that. Goodness gracious. That's okay. It is what it is. I'm hoping that again, once I move to the new place, things aren't gonna feel as busy. So I will be able to actually have some downtime because I know that I'm very much a workaholic, and I know that about myself. But it's important, ultimately, to have some kind of balance because otherwise you can burn out really, really easily. And I already feel really, really bad for working as slowly as I do. So I'm trying to kind of unburn out myself, if that makes sense. I don't know. We'll see. I'm a workaholic, but also I don't know. I'm a workaholic because I need to constantly be productive, and I'm trying to balance that out with understanding that in order to be productive, I have to have downtime too. But I don't know. It's very difficult for me to take downtime. I'm hoping that the new housing situation helps with that, but we'll see. Fingers crossed. Next time I stream, it'll be in the new house. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully I have internet set up by then. They're going really slow, so internet might be a little bit of a hassle, but fingers crossed it works out and I can make it happen. I've got a week to do so. So we'll see how it goes. But yes, thank you guys so much for hanging out today. I hope you guys had fun. Thank you for chatting with me. It's always a pleasure. I look forward to this every other weekend. So thank you for being here. Thank you for enjoying my horrible son, this terrible man. And thank you for your support of Immolation and my other projects. I really do appreciate it. And fingers crossed for good things going forward. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I will see you for the next stream.